Hey everyone, welcome to day 6. Today we are focusing on smashing. This is one of my favorite mobility techniques to help open up the connective tissue and the muscles. So you're going to need a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball. You can find those really inexpensive if you don't have them already. So I'm using a box. You're going to want to use either a box or a chair or a bench, something that's a hard surface. So you're going to start. You can see I'm placing the ball underneath the hamstrings. So the hamstrings are an area that get really, really tight that cause a lot of back pain and hip issues. So we're mobilizing, like I said, opening up that connective tissue. And you want to think about like grains of wood. Same thing with our muscles and our connective tissue. So we're going to be focusing on a vertical movement up and down today. So as you can see, I'm just bearing down. I'm putting pressure as I slowly move this ball, okay, up and down. So again, forward and backward movements. So you're going to play with this a little bit. Everybody's, depending on the length of their hamstrings, right? Every body is different. And so please know that you can ask questions, email me, respond back to me on Instagram or Facebook as well if you've got questions. So you can see I'm leaning my chest into the front of my thigh. This is helping give a little bit more weight and a little bit more pressure so that we can really open up in those small spaces. Okay, think about the muscles being very strong and we've got to work deep. The other key component is your breath work. So every time I'm bearing down, I'm pushing my chest towards my quadricep, towards the front of my thigh. Okay, I'm taking those deep breaths, specifically those deep exhales. And now you can see as I start to get a little bit more mobility, I'm going to start to add a little bit more movement or fluid movement, right? Inhale, moving forward, exhale, moving back, or vice versa. Just making sure we get that breath connected to parts of the movement. And then another technique, of course, is to use what we call a trigger point, where you're just going to use that pressure of the body and of your core and use the strength of your breath and bear down into a specific area that maybe you find a knot. Okay, so now we're going to move into supportive tissue in the glutes. So you've got several layers of tissue. So now you can see I'm moving actually more of a horizontal, right? Side to side. And the great thing about these balls, you guys, is they're very forgiving. So just make sure you're staying away from the spine. Okay, bones do not mobilize. That's part of our structure, our skeletal structure. So we're working on the fascia structure. Okay, these lines that support our muscles, that support the alignment in the body. That's what we're mobilizing today with this technique. And then once again, you can see I'm using a trigger point. I'm going to actually turn around here in a second so that you can see a front version, but I want you to be able to see, okay, that there's a lot of movement. Circles is a great way, okay, almost like you're drawing a circle with that ball. So here I go. I'm turning towards the camera now, and you're going to notice, okay, that again, you can see I'm kind of tilting to one side so that I can really use the weight of my body, the resistance of my body, to the advantage of mobilizing this tissue. And it can be very, I'm not going to lie, painful at first, especially if you haven't done this before. But you guys, this is such an important part of mobility. Okay, muscles lengthen, connective tissue does not, but connective tissue gets bound up. And you think about almost like a slinky that gets twisted and contracted, right? It no longer functions. It no longer expands and comes back to its original shape. Well, that can happen to our bodies. So this is a really, really important piece. There's a lot of science behind this, and it's been absolutely amazing for myself and my clients. So now we're going to switch sides, okay, and moving to the hamstring on the other side. So again, this is a technique that you can use for your entire body. This specific sequence is one that I find for myself and most of my clients and students that I work with. These are areas of the body that get very, very tight very, very quickly and frequently. So it's an area that consistently we need to be working. So again, notice I'm just using that breath. I'm working forward and back, using the weight of my body, okay, to move into that tissue. You're going to feel if you try to move horizontally through the hamstring, it's probably going to hurt. You're going to feel kind of some tweaking in the tissue. So most of the movement here through the hamstring is going to be this vertical movement, up and down, up and down. And then of course, the trigger points, using your breath to bear down into the tissue. Most people get really, really tight in that central area, that central hamstring. It's called the bicep femoris. Okay, it's that central area in the back of the thigh that gets really, really tight, but make sure that we're working through that full range of motion. Okay, working from the back of the knee all the way up into the sit bones. And then again, just adding that movement, okay, that fluidity. And then when you find a spot, breathe into it. Anytime you can't breathe, ease out of that pressure. Find where you can have a strong, present breath and then move back into it. Okay, by just holding your breath, you're not doing your body any good. You're actually doing it a disservice. So we've got to be able to let go of the tension, let go of the tightness, okay, to be able to replace it with length and strength. This is one of my favorite techniques here is I push my chest into the front of my thigh, use my breath, and just bear down, really allowing that certain areas where we probably get more bound up than others. So now I'm moving into, once again, okay, that gluteal tissue that supports everything. You've got to think about in our body as a domino effect. Everything's connected. And so we want to be focusing on not just an isolated area, okay? The whole is much greater than parts of the whole. We want to think about looking at the entire portions of our body, the entire lengths of the muscle and the supporting muscle groups, etc. So make sure that we are using this technique. Consistency is key. So try to smash at least, like today, this is an 8-minute video. So really concentrate on making this a consistent part of your day, just like brushing your teeth, just like working out, just like this mobility challenge is becoming a consistent part of your day over the next 14 days. We're creating a habit. Remember to breathe and have fun with this. Our bodies are different. You guys have a wonderful day.